From the outside, it looked like a contradiction. A brand famous for quiet luxury building a car that screamed to 9,000 RPM. But the Lexus LFA wasn't a marketing exercise. It was a moonshot that rewired what Lexus meant, an obsessive, decade-long project to learn carbon fiber from scratch, to shape sound like an instrument, and to prove that precision can feel emotional. This is the story of how the LFA went from secret skunkworks prototype to one of the most memorable supercars of the 21st century. The seed was planted in the early 2000s. Toyota had conquered reliability and scale, but it lacked a true halo that spoke to enthusiasts. Inside the company, a small team began sketching a clean-sheet front-mid-engine supercar. Early mules used aluminum space frames, but the goals kept rising: lighter, stiffer, stronger. The team pivoted to carbon fiber, reinforced polymer, and instead of outsourcing, built their own looms and techniques. CFRP let engineers put strength exactly where loads flowed, carve mass where it didn't, and deliver a rigidity-to-weight ratio an alloy frame could not touch. It also meant the LFA would be as much a manufacturing lesson as a vehicle. Then came the heart, a 4.8-liter, 72-degree V10 codenamed 1LRGUE, co-developed with Yamaha's performance and musical instrument divisions. On paper, it made a little over 550 horsepower and revved with absurd speed, so fast the analog needle in early test clusters couldn't keep up. The solution was digital, a reconfigurable LCD tach that animates like a race car and flips skins in sport mode. In practice, the engine's music defined the car. Equal-length headers and carefully tuned intake runners gave the V10 a layered voice, a clear tenor at low load, a metallic snarl as the cams came on, and an air saw wail as it blitzed toward redline. It wasn't just loud. It was pitched and timed to feel alive, a collaboration between combustion and acoustics. If the engine was theater, the chassis was the stage crew working in the dark. Double wishbones up front, a multi-link rear, and geometry that kept the tires loaded evenly gave the LFA that rare supercar trait: scary speed that feels readable. Carbon ceramic brakes hauled it down without drama. Steering was linear, quick, and honest. Calm hands at 150 mph, chatter on a good B-road. The car's balance came from layout discipline. Push the V10 back toward the firewall, mount the transaxle at the rear, and pack radiators and ancillaries where airflow and weight distribution made sense. The result was a front-mid layout that rotated on command but never felt nervous. There were choices that sparked debate then and still do now. Lexus paired the V10 with a single-clutch automated manual, not a dual-clutch. Around town it could feel abrupt. On circuit it made sense: lighter, simpler, robust, and with shift timing the driver could read and work with. The transmission's character pushed you to drive cleanly, brake in a straight line, set the car, choose the gear early, and let the V10 sing. The interface backed that intent. The driving position was low and centered. The seats were thin shell and supportive, and every control had the milled clarity engineers call good haptics. The cabin mixed carbon weave with leathers and machined switches, and the gauge cluster became theater, a digital dial that could jump skins, move its redline marker, and sweep faster than any analog needle ever could. Development wasn't just CAD and lab tests. It was laps, thousands of them, at Fuji and the Nürburgring. Akio Toyoda, then a rising executive and later company president, drove under the Morizo pseudonym and pushed the team toward feel as much as metrics. The LFA posted fierce times at the ring in track-focused trim, but the more important result was consistency. It wasn't a diva that needed perfect tires and moon phase settings. Drivers reported the same feedback on cold mornings and hot afternoons, with the car talking through the seatbacks and rim rather than through warning lights. That stability under pressure, mechanical, thermal, psychological, was the point. The production car finally landed after a string of concepts, arriving at the 2009 Tokyo Motor Show with a plan as unusual as the car. Lexus capped production at 500 units and built them by hand at a dedicated LFA Works inside Matamachi. Each engine was assembled by a single technician and signed on a small plaque. To keep speculators at bay and encourage real use, certain markets initially offered the car only on lease, later converting many to sales. The price was breathtaking for a Lexus badge, but it bought something hard to quantify: a sense that every surface, sound, and fastener had been argued over until nothing loose remained. Just when the world thought it understood the LFA, Lexus released the Nürburgring Package: more downforce from a taller rear wing and front canards, stickier tires on lighter wheels, a smidge more power, stiffer spring rates, and quicker shift programming. It was the same instrument, tuned for a hotter room. On the Nordschleife, the package vaulted the LFA into the top tier of production car laps of its day, and more importantly, showed how repeatable that speed could be. It didn't bully the stopwatch. It arrived at pace the old-fashioned way: lungs, legs, balance, and faith. What makes the LFA's story unusual is how its reputation flipped. Early reviews mixed awe at the engine and craftsmanship with questions about price and the transmission's manners. But as the years passed, context shifted. Dual-clutch gearboxes became common, turbochargers muffled many exotics, curb weights ballooned, steering feel went into hiding behind electric assistance. The LFA, unchanged, started to feel like an antidote: naturally aspirated, explosively responsive, light on its feet, and communicative. Owners who actually drove them, on track days in canyons, even on long road trips, reported a car that got better the harder you leaned on it. The V10's clean response trained your right foot. The brakes asked for one decisive input. The chassis rewarded rhythm instead of swagger. There's a cultural layer, too. The LFA put a human face on Lexus engineering. You can sense people in it: craftspeople who lay carbon, machinists who polish titanium valves, test drivers who annotate track maps with blunt pencils. The instrument maker DNA is the through line. From the engine's core to the way the tach needle flashes across modes, it feels like a product designed to be played as much as driven. Even the triple-exit exhaust, a design flourish at first glance, is acoustics in aluminum and steel. The lengths and volumes are tuned to blend frequencies into that unforgettable wail. The LFA also seeded technology and confidence that bled into the rest of Toyota and Lexus. Mastering carbon fiber helped the company build lighter, stiffer structures elsewhere. The obsession with tactile quality, what engineers call haptics, and sound quality, raised the bar on everything from door latches to pedal bushings. And the willingness to take a long, expensive path for the right outcome emboldened later passion projects. From Gazoo Racing's track programs to the GR86 and GR Yaris, cars that put driver feel ahead of brochure numbers. So what is the LFA really? Numbers can't carry it. Yes, it's fast, and yes, it looks like a concept car that made it to the street. But the essence is how it teaches you to drive. It asks you to be deliberate, to place the car by the hips, to breathe the throttle as a sentence rather than a shout, to use the brakes once hard, then release. It rewards rhythm with that V10 aria, turning a good road into a metronome. And when you park it, it doesn't feel like an alien artifact. It feels like a set of ideas expressed cleanly: lightness, clarity, and a refusal to fake drama with electronics. Production ended after the 500th car, and Lexus never built another V10 road car. That finality is part of the magic. The LFA is a complete thought from a specific moment, uncompromised by mid-cycle refreshes or committee updates. It's the car that taught Lexus how to be emotional on purpose, not by accident. And it's the rare halo that pulled the brand upward without betraying what made Lexus successful in the first place: fidelity to quality, to repeatability, to doing things the right way even when no one's watching. Today, you can measure the LFA's legacy in auction prices and lap videos, but the better measure is simpler. Ask anyone who's heard one ripping toward redline in a tunnel. The sound doesn't just announce speed, it announces intent. It says someone cared enough to make a machine that moves people as well as it moves itself. That, in the end, is why the Lexus LFA became a legend. Not because it shouted the loudest, but because it sang the clearest, and because it taught an industry that emotion can be engineered with the same discipline as reliability.